Hello everyone, I'm Barbi Leo. Welcome to our 3 News Plus app. Today I am talking to my friend Elida Reyna, the legendary Tejano singer, songwriter, performer, and entrepreneur. She announced her retirement from the music business after a remarkable career spanning more than 33 years. Amiga, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So the first question on everybody's mind, including mine, is why? Why now?
I just felt it was time. I've had an amazing career, 34 years. I've won 40 plus awards, 2 Grammys. I feel like I've pretty much done it all in the Tejano industry, and I'm 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 happy. I'm content. I'm in a good place, and I just feel like it's just time to um, spend time with my family. And my dad just got diagnosed with dementia. Being on the road, we were always busy, always on tour, and so I wanted to take a little bit of me time. And then, of course, I still have my businesses on the side, and so I just want to continue to grow as a spiritually as well, because I also just got baptized. So those are all things I just feel like I'm spiritually, uh, um, and life kind of takes you on that road where you just start to see things differently. And I love to perform. That's something that is in my blood, something that I'll always love. But I feel like it's just time to slow down. I mean, never say never. I don't think I'll ever stop recording. I might do a show here and there, maybe. But as far as touring is concerned, I won't tour like I will this next year. That we're still on tour, and we're doing the farewell tour, and so and just really enjoying that, relishing in the last couple of shows that I have, several shows that we have. Just really trying to take it all in, soak it all in.
I do want to know all the details of your farewell tour and also your final album. But before we get to that, I want to talk about Elida, the little girl, the one that fell in love with the music. When did you find out? How old were you when you knew that you wanted to be a performer, an artist, a singer?
I knew at 9 years old. Of course, my dad, being my dad, he says that he saw something in me when I was 2 years old. That I always loved to be around instruments and all that good stuff. And I just remember at 9 years old knowing that that would be my destiny. Laura Canales was a big inspiration for me at that time. She was the only female that I had ever seen on stage, and then later on, of course, Selena. But basically, Laura was what really inspired me, and when I saw her on stage, I'm like, I could really do this. This is something that I could see myself doing as a profession.
So when did you start singing professionally? How old were you then?
Well, I started singing locally when I was about 15, 16. I joined a couple of local bands, and then it wasn't until I was in college, and I pulled a fast one on my dad, and I was like, this college thing isn't really working for me. I think that, and I just gotten a record deal at that time. And I'm like, I kind of pulled that Lionel Richie. I think he told his parents, like, if you didn't take that record deal, who knows if you'll ever get one again. So I kind of used that one on my parents. I'm like, what if I never get another record deal again? Which at that time was with Sony Discos, and my parents were like, you know what, this is something that you've always loved, and we're going to back you up. We're going to support you. And so 2 years into college, I quit and started on of course, don't want the kids to, but at the same time, it's just something that I knew and felt strongly about. And obviously my parents believed in me enough to tell me, go for it, just, follow your dreams. And that's what I did.
And follow your dreams you did. When did you finally realize that you had made it in the music industry? Everybody's moment is different. How did you know? Share that moment with us.
Well, I recorded my first album. I already had Luna Llena. I still didn't think at that point I had made it. I just felt like, okay, I have a good song on the radio, and then we put out another good song. Honestly, it wasn't until I wrote, because, through the years I would write a lot of my songs, but it wasn't until Duele, which was 10 years into my career, and the ups and the downs and the struggles, and what really that's really when I felt like a true artist, so to speak. And yeah, that's basically 10 years into my career, which is when we wrote Blend. So.
Now we know that music is a very tough industry, and as a woman, even tougher. If you could share with us some of the challenges that you've encountered being a woman in the music industry.
Oh yeah, especially in the beginning. Honestly, and I'll be very transparent, because you're a female, they try to take advantage of that. They see a young girl, and at that time, I really didn't have representation aside from my band. And my parents, even though they supported me, my parents were not managing me or anything like that, but they saw that I had a good head on my shoulders. However, it was difficult, because in the beginning it was like they didn't want to take you seriously, because they felt like you were just going to be, you were going to get your 15 minutes of fame, and then, or she was going to record an album, and that was it, But I just really took the advice of a manager at one time, who said, you got to record an album every year. You have to be, like they say, out of sight, out of mind. And so we had an album out every year. We had 3 singles on the radio every year, making videos. We were on the road. We were hitting it hard, and really weren't making a lot of money. But, we were willing to make the sacrifice, because we knew that in the end, we were going to see the benefits, the fruits of our labor, So we just kept at it. And again, it took us several years. I was still living at home for about 5 years into my career, and just everything that basically financially that we made, we would put it into our equipment, into just back into the business. And so and nowadays I feel that's one thing that I hope the women, the future Tejanas of our genre, that they see that you just got to really work hard and be creative. And I think, like I said, when the people connected with me was when they, I wrote out my story, my songs, my life was in my music and my lyrics, and people were able to identify with that. And so that is how I was able to connect, and through the years, and the rest is history. And I'm still writing songs. And El Mar, which is a single that we just released off of Freddie Records. And several others that I've written through the years. Prefiero Morir with my husband Lalo. And, it's just staying creative. Is you constantly have to stay creative. And I think that's one of the reasons that has sustained my longevity in our music career, is just, como le dicen, echándole muchas ganas.
Now, when you look back on your impressive music career and everything you've accomplished, I know that you mentioned that you've won 2 Latin Grammys, and for those that don't know, she's the only female artist that has done that. Congratulations on that.
Thank
When
you.
you look back on those achievements, what do you consider your greatest achievement?
I think my greatest achievement in the music industry, well, there's so many. There have been so many highlights in my career. But of course, like I said, with the highs, when you're at your lowest is when you appreciate those high moments. But I would have to say that winning a Latin Grammy was definitely, it was just a wonderful experience, because you're standing there in front of the greatest musicians and artists in the Latin world, and so to be there with Juan Luis Guerra and Mark Anthony's in the audience, or it's just amazing. It's an amazing feeling to know that you're amongst those people. You're being acknowledged. You're being awarded. And to me, winning a Latin Grammy is like, excuse me, it's like winning the lotto. But of course, we achieved that through a lot of hard work and a lot of heartache and a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat and tears. Sure.
Obviously, singing has been your passion since childhood. What is your passion right now?
My passion right now is serving the Lord. I just got baptized last year, and I have an amazing family, amazing parents, and I just every day I learn more, about the Lord through the Bible, and I'm just, I'm just not the same person anymore, and the goals that I had in life before are not the same goals that I have now. I don't want to be glorified on stage. I want to glorify God, and in every way that I can. And I think that is what's changed me. My heart is different. And when I got baptized last year and I got saved 2 years ago, your heart just changes. And the Bible says your heart will change. And I'm just not the same person anymore. But I'm a better version of myself, I think.
You said that you got saved 2 years ago. What happened? How did you find Jesus? There's something in particular happened?
Well, I feel like I've always been a very spiritual person, but it wasn't until, I don't know, something just happened. I feel like I just had a spiritual awakening, and I started reading the Bible more, and things just started to change. And I was taught a certain way, and I learned that it wasn't the way that the Bible teaches. And it just kind of threw me into a rabbit hole, basically. And I felt like I'd had the rug pulled from under me, and I had to find out exactly, the right way, the right things, and so I did. And so finally I was at a wedding one day. I was at my friend's nephew's wedding, and her aunt is a Bible teacher, and I went up to her and I started asking her all these questions. I had a million questions, and she just prayed over me, and she basically prayed the Lord's Prayer. And that is when I felt the Holy Spirit, and I felt something change within me, and I was never the same after that.
What is God compelling you to do right now in your life?
To be a disciple, to go and profess. I mean, we're living in dark days, and it's a lot of tough times that we're facing ahead, and but there's hope, and God talks about that in the Bible, and He says that there's a reason why these things are happening, but He's got an answer for that, and the answer is, again, it's a beautiful thing. I can go on, and trust me, I love to talk about the Lord, but I know we only have a short time to talk about it. Yeah.
I know that you reach your people through music. Would you consider doing a Christian album?
Actually, we're in the process. We're in the studio working on a Christian song as we speak. It's my first ever. If you had said, or if you had told me, Elida, you're going to record a Christian album, some years back, I would have said, no way. That was never in the how do they say? I didn't see that in my vision board, basically. But now I would love to, if I can. Right now we're concentrating on our farewell tour, and we're really, really hitting that hard, and just excited about our farewell tour. But who knows? I'm leaving it in the Lord's hands as far as if I do decide to record or do something in the near future. But I would love to.
I'm looking forward to that if you do that. I'm also looking forward to your farewell tour. If you can give us more details, if you have any dates, any certain cities that you're going to visit already.
Yes, we're doing Strawberry Festival on the, I believe it's the 12th of February. We'll be there in Poti, Texas, and we're very excited about that. We're also, I always sign autographs after the show, and I can be there before. I won't leave to the last person, but we're doing something a little differently because it is the farewell tour. So now I do meet and greets before the show, an hour before, and actually, I can send you guys the link so that you can share, so that in case anybody would like to take a picture. And of course, we give out a little goodie bag with a shirt and some goodies as well. And there's a small fee for that, but we're doing that before the show. But we have several shows coming up. The Las Vegas showcase will be there on a Friday, and we're also doing, I believe, Tucson. We're in Garland. We're also in Katy by Houston. We have a lot of shows. They can go on our website, Elida Reyna, on Facebook, and all of our social media, all our schedule is on there. So in case they want to come in and see my show one last time. But the biggest show will be at Bert Ogden, which is happening November the 8th in my hometown of the RGB. So that one is one that I'm looking forward to because we're playing at the arena.
I love that. Are any surprises that we can look forward to? Duets with anybody? Any special guests?
Yes, we plan to have a lot of special guests, so we're excited about that as well. So,
what about your final album? Tell us about your final album.
yeah, we're working on the final album, and we still have about another 7 songs to go. Like I said, we're still in the studio. We recorded several, but we still got a long ways to go. So I feel like my it's just not over yet. It's not over yet. So.
And I know that you play drums, Elida. Are you going to be playing drums on stage during your farewell tour?
That's so funny. I think Freddie and Lalo and everybody, they're trying to get me to do a little segment where I'm, performing. Who knows? I may just surprise them in the near future, but it's definitely something that we talked about.
I think what would be cool, and this is my vision for you, I don't know if you want to use it, but to see both you and Layla on stage, because I know she's into music.
Oh my God.
That would be so cool.
That's such a great idea.
You're
Barbie.
welcome. You're welcome. No.
Yes.
So
I love that. Yeah.
I would love to see it as a mom. I would love to see that. And I know that she's into music, So I know that she's into music. Let's talk about your daughter a little bit, Layla. What advice, as a mom, as someone that has been in this industry for 33 years, what advice would you give her if she wants to do that as well?
She did want to pursue a career in music, but again, I guess because I didn't finish college, and there were just so many things that I could always go back and finish. I only just need 2 years, but I just tell her, you're so young. I could have finished. I would have been 22, 23. Looking back in retrospect, I feel like I wish I had finished. And so I just tell her, education is very important. You get your education, and you're your own person. You'll be independent, and you don't have to depend on anybody else. I'm just very, very strong on that. However, she does have the music.
Look at you, all see someone who's broken too. What am I supposed to do when all you ever do is push me away? I know I'll never be the one you wanted. Yeah, I still stay. I am open arms, open heart.
The talent. She's had it since she was a little girl.
I remember seeing
yeah.
videos of her jamming out. I know. That's why I'm asking. It's that would be so cool once again to see you both on stage. And then maybe at the end just hand her the drum like, you take it, I'm out. Guy, bye. That would be so cool.
I was on the road. She was in the womb. We were still touring when I was pregnant with her till I was around 7 months. And so she's been around it. Actually, after I had her, 2 weeks after I had her, we were back on the road. So that's all she's ever known. So
after 3 weeks.
Yes, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
You're a super mom. There's no way.
Yeah. Well, it was my third child. So by then, I think I had it down by then. But so we, she really loves music. She plays guitar, she plays piano. So she has it in her. And we support her, whatever she decides to do. But she's a very people person. She's very, and it's very contagious. She's just got this personality. I told her, if there's anything that I wish for you and I pray for you, is that you never lose that. Because, especially in our music industry or in any industry, when they see a vivacious, beautiful young person with all of these dreams and aspirations, people just have a way of trying to tear you down. And so I try to tell her, and I pray I pray to God all the time that she never loses that.
And I think, first of all, I love the fact that I see your face glowing when you talk about your daughter. I love that as a mom. And you're absolutely right. And I think that advice goes well across the board with no matter what it is that they decide to do. When they have that light, you're right. You pray. Yeah. And that's the best thing you can do is just pray for them. Pray for your kids.
Yeah.
How do you want to be remembered in the music industry?
I want to be remembered as just a good person. Someone that made a difference. I feel like when people meet me, it's like they're meeting a cousin or somebody because I feel like I've been in their homes through music, and they're at their parties when they're having their barbecues, and when they're singing Duele, or when they send me these videos, and I just feel like they just feel like family to me, and I hope that feeling never fades. That when they think of me, they think that, you know, she's a cool person, and she, you know, and you know that our music will just never, you know, it'll never die, and that people will continue to play my music even though, you know, I'm no longer performing or touring, but I'll still be here, you know. So they'll see me on social media.
How do you want to be remembered as a mom?
As a mom, that I was a good mom. That I taught them as best as I could. It was very difficult in the beginning because being on the road and, you know, being on the road and then being a mom. But I knew I definitely wanted to be a mom. I actually wanted more kids, but you know, for whatever reason, God still blessed me with 3 beautiful kids, and to me, that is the biggest reward and the biggest blessing that God could have ever given me, aside from the blessing of knowing how to sing, right, and having that talent. Is that, and I'm still learning as a mom. You know, I'm still learning, but my kids are great, and they love me, and I love them, and I would do anything for them.
What message do you have for your fans?
I would just say that I love them so much, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart for loving me and for accepting me and for, you know, allowing me to, or loving our music basically for what the past, it'll be 34 years by the time we're done, and I'm just so grateful to them, and that they've done more for me. They brought so much life and just inspired me, you know, and through their stories, we've been able to write songs to, you know, like Juntos Hasta Morir was written for a family friend, you know, just stories that people would share that we were able to, you know, just record songs that they could relate to. That's really important to me.
You know, as a fan, I'm sad. I'm sad to you. I mean, you're one of my all-time favorite female Tejano artists. You know, Luna Llena changed my life. But you know, to know that I'm not going to be able to see you performing, that saddens me. But as a mom, Elida, I totally and completely understand, and I'm proud of you for choosing your family and for choosing you and time to live your life, you know, with them. Thank you so much, Elida, for blessing us with your God-given gift and talent for 33 amazing years. Your legacy, your music will live on no matter what. You've made a mark in the music industry. You've broken barriers, you've broken glass ceilings, and that will never be forgotten, no matter what it is that you decide to do. So congratulations, and enjoy your time off, amiga.
Thank you, Barbi. Thank you so much. I love you, and
love you.
You've been amazing. I've known you for such a long time, and I just thank you for your support.
Of course. I was trying to. I have a picture of one of my first interviews that I did on radio, and I have it saved, and I was going to send it to you, and I can't find it now, but I will find it because I'm going to add it to this interview, because you know you've been very, very special to me in my career, so I thank you. And I'm just one of many. You know, you've been special to so many, not only the fans, but people in the radio business as well. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Veo en su cara que su decisión está tomada, que es el final de la historia, que no volverá a ser el mío. Sé que es merecido, porque yo fallé contigo. Es imposible robarle el tiempo al tiempo.